Banking Act of 1913. Most people don't know that the bank that prints our money is a privately held bank.
There's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve.
Can you comment on that and share your opinions?
Yeah, it's a private bank owned by different families who have a lot of money to the point where they're not ever going to be in Forbes. They have more money than Forbes can even count. So you're not going to see this. They own a bank. This bank distributes money. They print it. They give it to, in America, we have 12 different Federal Reserve banks that are located around America. Then they take that money, they disseminate it to commercial banks. Those banks decide who they want to give loans to for either schools, business, or whatever, personal loans. That's how our money system works. The determination of how that money is distributed is based on something called the cancel loan effect, where basically the people closest to the money get the most benefit because those people who get the money first, they can actually invest it. They can actually get things that they need. By the time it trickles down to us in the form of loans or in the form of banking, we usually get the debt, which is why most people who are middle class and lower, a lot of times your money is worth less by the time it gets to you, so to say. So printing money, the inflation rate, by the time you actually make more money, the inflation rate is high enough where it doesn't matter. Your purchasing power is still the same. That is why you see things like in the Black community, our median income is the same since 65. It hasn't gone up much. People make more money, but because by the time it got to us, inflation had hit, purchasing power means nothing. The income rate didn't mean anything. And that is what the Federal Reserve basically is as far as the trickle-down effect. And that's why it doesn't work. Because there's a centralized power that determines it. We don't have any say-so over who does it. Nobody. We don't know who votes on it. We don't even know the people that do the accounting. They've never audited the Fed. So all of that is pretty much against self-sovereignty and how money should work.
Totally. King, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on that. Also, for those listening, I would definitely encourage everyone to read The Creature from Jekyll Island. Of course, I went through some of that in the masterclass. That it's a long read, but it explains in depth two main things. A, how the Federal Reserve, a private company that for whatever reason our federal government uses for money, how they were formed. And by the way, they were formed by I think 5 or 6 different people, only 2 of which were American citizens. It was like the JP Morgan, at the time, the CEO, JP Morgan was involved. There was a United States senator who had ties with, I forgot which foreign, what's one of those, not the Rothsteins, but one of those other. Rockefellers, yeah. One of those families, I think it was Rockefellers. One of the Rockefellers was actually there as well. You had one of the Kennedys, I believe, there. So all together it was 4 or 5 or 6 people get on this train, met on this island, talk about how they're going to start the Federal Reserve, start the new economy, came back and put it in motion and work. Now, here's my issue with that. Again, some of those people weren't even American citizens. So from the jump, you have this private company we're getting money from for the United States that does not have American interests. There are interests in other countries like the UK where these guys are from or wherever the fuck else. It's not America. And pardon me, but it is what it is. And then the second part of it is how you actually create debt out of thin air, how you print money. And I mean, they go across this so many times in the book. And when you see it and when you see what they're doing with Bitcoin, it is the same thing. It's crazy. Essentially, this is what happens. The Federal Reserve, the private company bank, will print money. It is fake money. Doesn't believe in it. It's not backed by gold. It's backed by the military and police and guns at this point. They print this money, and this money goes on their balance sheet as an asset. It's an asset because now they have this money to lend. Now, remember, it's fake money. They just print it. So that's the same as me just, hey, here's an ink pen. It's an asset now. I have this. I just found it as an asset. So you have this asset. Then they start loaning that money out. They start doing derivatives. They start buying real things with that money. They start buying houses or whatever. They're doing all this other stuff. And when they loan that money, now it goes on the balance sheet as a debt owed. So on the same balance sheet, they don't even switch it. It's the exact same balance sheet. They print money and they say, like this $3.5 trillion you're talking about printing, this is the way the balance sheet will look. And this is what people don't understand about the traditional monetary system, which is why it's like, before you even start talking Bitcoin, if you don't even understand this, you're going to be lost.
Exactly.
Right now, they'll print $3.5 trillion and they say this is an asset. They'll start loaning it out. And then they say that $3.5 trillion of debt that we loaned out is also a debt due back to us with interest. This is also an asset. At no point do they say this printed money is a loss anywhere. So essentially you have 2 assets that don't even exist that you print out thin there. And the next thing you know, milk is $5.